Total since starting the program, we have driven a total of 78,500 miles. Total expenses have been $64,529 at 82 cents per mile, and that is my cost per mile. Total revenue has been $134,584 at $1.71 per mile. That brings our total profit loss to $70,054 at 89 cents per mile, and all of these loads are dry van. Welcome back to Trucking the Seven Seas. This is episode number 77, and in this episode, we're going to go over week 35 and 36 of the Landstar Owner-Operator Program. In this episode, we travel primarily from the Los Angeles area to Phoenix and Las Vegas and Salt Lake City, and then deadhead back. So we planned on doing that last week, and this week, that's exactly what we did, and it does go fairly well. If you're new to this channel, welcome. I started this channel in order to show exactly what truck drivers make. We started as a company driver working for Night Transportation, moved on to a lease operator working for Night Transportation, and now we're an owner-operator working for Landstar. I show all the loads I take, what the revenue is, what the expenses are, and what my net cash flow is, and I compile all this information that I put into a spreadsheet that I share with you at the end of every video. So if this is a topic that interests you, follow the channel. So a couple of announcements. You might have noticed I'm not in the normal setting, so I'm currently at family's house in Tucson area. So taking Christmas off, obviously, and I decided just to do the filming out here. So that's where we're currently at. And second big announcement is I will be leaving Landstar at the beginning of next year. So I've been mentioning in the last few episodes that I'll be leaving Landstar and getting my own authority, and that's exactly what we're doing. So this is going to be the last full 2-week episode, and then after this, I'm pretty much done. So after Christmas, that's going to be just about it. So going to work on getting my own authority, and after Christmas, I'm not planning on taking any further loads for Landstar, and then I'm going to spend probably most of January getting everything together. So getting my MC number, my insurance, plates, all that good stuff. So when you leave Landstar, like you can't, I can't do a smooth transition where I leave Landstar and immediately start hauling my own authority because Landstar doesn't let you have any other competing interests, I guess. So I have to just leave Landstar. Then after I leave Landstar, start working on everything. So that's what I'm currently doing. Turning the trailer in and leaving Landstar at the beginning or at the end of the year and start working on my own authority. So this will be the last full episode at Landstar. Now, I will be posting one more episode on the Landstar pay. Basically, it's going to summarize everything. So if you've been watching this channel for a while, when I left Night Transportation as a company driver, I did a final episode that showed in detail the pay at Night Transportation, both as a company driver and then as a lease driver. So I'm going to post one more episode at Landstar summarizing the pay at Landstar and clearly showing basically what I made at Landstar. So that video will be coming next, but this is going to be the last full episode where I go over the loads, and yeah, that's going to be it after this one. Now, after I leave Landstar, it's going to take me some time to get my authority up and running, so I'm planning on taking off basically all of January and probably parts of February as well, depending on how things go. There's just a lot of paperwork and things that need to get set up, and it just takes some time. So I was just planning on taking some time off. I was going to hang out in Vegas and just screw around in Vegas because, well, A, the weather's really nice, and B, it's just going to take me some time to get everything together, and C, I could use some time off. So basically, since I started at Landstar from roughly the beginning of July till about now, I've done almost nothing but just OTR trucking, so I haven't had time to just take some time off and take care of like personal errands and things like that. So I've decided to go ahead and do that. So after I leave Landstar, I'm going to basically take all of January and probably part of February off while I get everything together, both personally and professionally. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'll probably post some other episodes that don't have a lot to do with like truck driving pay during this time period. I'll probably do, for instance, an APU review and just give my take on that, and maybe another video on like buying a used truck and stuff like that. So I'll probably post a couple videos in the meantime while I'm taking all this time off. But after this episode and then after the next episode, I'm going to be taking probably at least a month off and maybe two. It's the slow time of the year anyway. That's going to be January and February. So I'm not going to be missing a whole lot, and I'll still be activating my authority. So even if I wanted to take a load, I'm not going to be able to do that for a while. So that is the plan for the next 2 months. But with all that said, last episode we left off in Henderson, Nevada. So we dropped a load in Henderson, Nevada. And as mentioned, I was planning on doing a bunch of loads to and from Los Angeles, and then going to either Las Vegas or Salt Lake, or go the other way along the 10 to Phoenix, and then just deadhead back. I thought this might work pretty well because the loads coming out of Los Angeles pay so well that it can be justified to just grab a load in Los Angeles, take it to, say, Phoenix, and then deadhead all the way back without even trying to get a load. And this is actually sustainable in my opinion because the loads coming out of Los Angeles pay $5 or $6 a mile. So I thought it would work, and I did it for the next 2 weeks, and I can tell you it went okay. It went perfectly fine. So that's what I ended up doing. But with all that said, we left off in Henderson, Nevada, and then we deadheaded all the way back to, in this case, Victorville, California, and found this load right over here. I'll kind of put it, I guess, right over here. So going from Victorville, California to Salt Lake City, it was a load of tires. Paid pretty well. Again, I'll mention the price down here wherever it is. That's not correct. That's almost never correct. It's usually a lot more than that. But it paid pretty well. I think it was almost $5 a mile. When everything was said and done. So, divide that by two because of the deadhead, about $2.50 per mile, half of it being empty. So I think that's pretty good. So that's what I ended up doing. So I grabbed this load out of Victorville, California. Victorville is also really nice because you don't have to actually run Los Angeles. It's kind of on the outskirts, so I don't have to hit LA traffic. So that is even better. But with all that said and done, we took this load from Victorville and we're headed to Salt Lake City. Let's go. Okay, so after that Salt Lake City run, we did, I was trying to find a load from Salt Lake City to like Los Angeles or maybe Las Vegas to get a little closer, but nothing good pops. I mean, the loads coming out of Salt Lake City to like Los Angeles might pay literally $1 a mile, and I've concluded that that's just not worth it. It's better just to hightail it back, straight back to Los Angeles, and just grab a load there because if you grab a load in Salt Lake City and then take it to, let's say, Los Angeles, and let's say that the drop off time in Los Angeles is 10 a.m., and then they take 2 hours to unload you, then it's noon. You miss any of the loads that popped between 6 a.m. and noon that day, and in my opinion, it's not worth it. Logistically and financially, I don't think it makes sense because while you're delivering that load in Los Angeles, you might miss a load that pays $5 a mile going back to Salt Lake or something like that. So, in my opinion, it's not worth it. So I didn't do that. So I just went ahead and after I dropped the load, I just deadheaded all the way back to Los Angeles. It is about 500 miles, but I think it's justifiable because the load going to Salt Lake paid about $5 per mile. So I think it's justified. But with all that said and done, we then found another load out of Victorville. Same facility, actually, tires again. So it was going from Victorville, California to Phoenix, Arizona. So we went ahead and grabbed that one, and now we're going to Phoenix, Arizona. Let's go. All right, so after we dropped the Phoenix load, we then went ahead and just deadheaded straight back to Los Angeles. So again, the loads coming from Phoenix to Los Angeles, in my opinion, just aren't worth your time. They're not worth the logistic effort of trying to get it there, pick it up, drop it, and all that good stuff. So we went ahead, just turned right around, and deadheaded back to the Los Angeles area. And we ended up finding, again, this load right over here. This one's going from Mira Loma straight back to Phoenix. So that's what we ended up finding, and that's what we booked. So let's go straight back to Phoenix. Okay, so after we dropped the Phoenix load, we then headed straight back to Los Angeles, and then we ended up finding, well, on the way to Los Angeles, we ended up finding another Victorville to Salt Lake City load. Again, this is actually the same shipper. They were hauling quite a bit out of this area, so I just kept taking it, and Victorville is a nice place to pick up because you don't actually have to run Los Angeles. So that's really nice. So we picked this one up in Salt Lake City, and we're headed right back to, or excuse me, picked it up in Victorville, and we're headed right back to Salt Lake City. So let's go. Okay, so then after we dropped that one load in Salt Lake City, so I have been looking for good loads out of Salt Lake City to Henderson or Los Angeles or something, and in this instance, a good load did pop. So I am looking. So after the Salt Lake City run, I did not deadhead back to Los Angeles. I ended up finding this load over here. So this one's going from Tooele, Utah, to St. George, Utah, and St. George, Utah is just about an hour north of Las Vegas. So I thought that was justifiable. Paid about $3 per mile, so that got me there. So in this instance, I thought, okay, that's probably good enough. $3 per mile to get down to Las Vegas, and then from Las Vegas, just deadhead to Los Angeles, I thought was actually okay. So that's what I ended up doing. I grabbed this load out of Tooele, Utah, which is about, I don't know, 40 miles away from Salt Lake City, and now we're headed to St. George, Utah. Let's go. All right, so then after that St. George, Utah, we then went ahead and deadheaded back down to Victorville. Same facility once again. They were just hauling a lot of tires out of that place. So we picked up another tire load out of Victorville, California, and like I said, put it right over here again. And once again, we're headed to Phoenix, Arizona. Let's go. All right, so then after that Phoenix load, we then found another one going from that same facility once again to Henderson, Nevada. However, that load is not going to make this paycheck, so we're going to get into the spreadsheet right now. Okay, it's spreadsheet time. As mentioned, in this episode, we're going to cover 2 weeks, week 35 and 36, so let's get right into it. For week 35, we did 3 loads. In those 3 loads, we got 2,572 miles. We were paid a total of $4,301 at $1.67 per mile. Landstar's cut was $2,109 at 82 cents per mile. Fuel expenses were $1,579 at 61 cents per mile, and there were no maintenance expenses. Other expenses: workers' comp, $72, card fee, $6, truck scan, $1.35, bobtail insurance, $34, license fees, $369, permits, $94, plates, $11, tolls, $9, APU payment, $450, for a total of $684 at 27 cents per mile. Totals for week 35. Total revenue was $2,264 at 88 cents per mile. Total revenue was $4,301 at $1.67 per mile. That brought our net settlement to $2,037 at 79 cents per mile. All right, caveats for week 35. There's only one big one. The APU payment came in, so got an APU on the truck, and I'm still making payments on it. So $450, rather significant. If I don't have that, it's a much better week. That's about it. So we did carry out the deadheading back and forth. So as you can see, the deadhead, this is the same. So lots of deadhead here on these mileage, but you can still see that the pay is pretty good. So the total pay is $1.67 plus 82 cents per mile, which is $1.40 or $2.49 per mile total, including the deadhead. So about $2.50 per mile, which isn't bad at all. It's decent, especially considering since half of it I'm empty. My fuel mileage is better. Speaking of fuel, though, ironically, as I say that, the fuel bill was a little high this week. Not sure why. Could have been because I was running California / Nevada, and fuel prices are a little higher than normal, but that could have been it. Maybe some of the fuel bill was here. That's possible, or maybe it's on next week. But fuel bill is a little bit high, about 10 or 15 cents higher than I would have expected. So there's that, and that's about it. 79 cents per mile, not very good, but APU payment came in, so that affected things greatly. That was the big one right there, the APU payment. That costs a lot. So yeah, that's about it. So that is week 35. Let's go ahead and move on to week 36. For week 36, we did 3 loads. In those 3 loads, we got 2,253 miles. We were paid a total of $3,664 for an average of $1.63 per mile. Landstar's cut was $1,645 at 73 cents per mile. Fuel expenses were $550 at 24 cents per mile. Maintenance expenses were $393 at 17 cents per mile. Other expenses: workers' comp 72, card fee $8, truck scan $350, bobtail $34, license fees $369, permits $94, plates $11, tolls $21, IFTA $77, EOBR $8 for a total of $334 at 15 cents per mile. Totals for week 36. Total expenses were $1,278 at 57 cents per mile. Total revenue was $3,664 at $1.63 per mile. That brought our net settlement to $2,385 at $1.06 per mile. All right, so caveats. Did the same thing with the deadheading, with the exception of this Tule load. I'm not sure how to say it. Didn't have much deadhead on the way back to Los Angeles, or at least Henderson anyway. So there's that. If you add these two together, it looks like I was booking loads for what is that, 236 per mile or something like that, which isn't that great. Again, most of it is deadhead, so I was doing pretty good on the fuel mileage. And yeah, here's where the fuel bill was. So last week it was 60 cents per mile, and here's 24. So obviously I did a lot of the fuel up for these loads on the last week paycheck. So that's why last week's fuel bill was high, and this one is extremely low. So that's what's going on there. And then I had this maintenance expense. This was just an oil change PM, so nothing special, just a basic PM. Think of that a TA or something like that. And yeah, so that cost me $393. That's all that was. And that is really it. These tolls are from when I was running in the Midwest, so I think these are actually like Illinois tolls from like a month ago or something like that. They take a long time to settle at Landstar, or actually right here, sorry. They take a long time to settle at Landstar, so that's why there's tolls there. I wasn't running tolls in California. I think there was one or two, but that's not what that was about. That's the only note there. And that's it. IFTA came in running California a lot, but I'm not fueling up in California, so that's why I had a kind of a $77 IFTA bill. But yeah, that's about it. $1.06 per mile. Not too bad. Not great, not bad. All things considered. So the deadheading going okay, ish. But yeah, so that's about it. $1.06 per mile, 2,000 miles, 2,200 miles, $2,300 paycheck. There's week 36. All right, let's go over overalls now. Total since starting the program, we have driven a total of 78,500 miles. Total expenses have been $64,529 at 82 cents per mile, and that is my cost per mile. Total revenue has been $134,584 at $1.71 per mile. That brings our total profit loss to $70,054 at 89 cents per mile, and all of these loads are dry van. Averages and other information. Average weekly paycheck is $1,938. Average weekly miles is 2,172 miles. Total fuel cost is $37,026 at 47 cents per mile. Total maintenance cost is $10,476 at 13 cents per mile. Total other expenses is $17,027 at 22 cents per mile. If we kept this up for a 52-week period, we'd make $100,790 and drive a total of 112,000 miles. Landstar's 35% cut has equated to $53,968 at 69 cents per mile. Total revenue has been $188,552 for an average of $5,200 per week. Total deadhead has been 8,242 miles at 10% of deadhead of total mileage. We've been employed 253 days, or 36 weeks, taken 30 days off, 223 days on duty, 67 total loads. Average load length is 1,172 miles. And if we had a $500 truck payment, we would have made $51,983 at 66 cents per mile. Okay, yeah, so there's week 36 and summary of it all. Making 89 cents per mile. And frankly, that number has not moved for about a month. So I think it's been at 88 or 89 cents per mile for at least a month and maybe 2 months. So after you get, a certain amount of data, it's just really hard to move this number at all. So yeah, 89 cents per mile with a paid off truck is what I'm making at Landstar. Again, next episode I'll do a complete summary, but you guys, you're getting the sneak peek when you look at this. Um, 89 cents per mile, really bad market, so that is something to think about. If I had a truck $500 truck payment, I'm making 66 cents per mile, which is company driver pay. So, you know, something to think about. Now, the average, what do you call it? Load price on the DAT load board market is about $2 per mile, which is really bad. Um, so we're in a bad market right now. I'm not saying this is good. It's actually not. It's not great at all. I'm just posting the numbers here, just letting you guys, just giving you guys information that I didn't have when I was coming up. So I hope this is helpful to you. But went 36 weeks, which is like 6 or 7 months. Made 89 cents per mile. Uh, Again, in a terrible market. But if you had a $500 truck payment, you'd be making a lot less, 66 cents per mile. So there it is. Booked loads for $2.68 per mile, which I think is pretty good. This does not include deadhead, so that is getting a little skewed at this point. So I originally made this when I was not deadheading from Los Angeles or from like Salt Lake to Los Angeles. So this is in the last couple weeks. This has gotten a little bit skewed. I think I'm booking it for closer to 250 per mile, but I'm not going to change it at this point because well I'm pretty much done with the spreadsheet. So there's that. I could put back the deadhead in there, but I'm not going to worry about it at this point. But anyways, there's that. After Landstar takes his cut, I was getting $1.71 per mile. So Landstar was taking about 90 cents per mile, give or take 80 cents per mile. Oh, actually, it says right here, 69 cents per mile out of everything. So that's a lot. Yeah. And again, I'll talk about all this in the next video when I do a complete summary of everything. It's going to be kind of a long video, I can already tell. But there it is, 69 cents per mile. It's interesting to keep track of that. I don't think anybody has done that. So correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think anybody has actually keeping track of how much Lancer actually takes. They take almost $54,000. So a lot is the answer. Again, I'll do a summary. I don't want to go too deep into it on this episode, but there's the numbers right there. I really hope they're helpful to you. This is all information that I did not have when I was coming up. Now you have it. So I really hope it's been helpful to you. We did crack the $100,000 barrier here, although next week I think it'll actually drop back down because I only do like one load and then I have all of the expenses on the paycheck, so I don't know. But basically $100,000 with a paid off truck at Landstar. Again, really bad market, so take from it what you will. But there's all the numbers. Only took 30 days off, so it's not a lot of days off, frankly. Not to blow my own bagpipe here, but that is not a lot of time off. So if you think like, oh, I'll just beat these numbers real hardcore, you might be able to beat them. I'm sure you can beat them to a certain extent. But if you think like, oh yeah, instead of making 89 cents per mile, I'll make $1.20 per mile because I'm just better. I only took 30 days off, guys. That's not a lot. So you could certainly beat this, but probably by not by very much, to be honest. So I mean, you know, I'll let you guys figure it out. Sure, there will be comments about the deadhead here. I stand by it, considering that the loads coming out of Los Angeles pay $5 or $6 per mile. I'm sure there would be different opinions on that, but that's my take, and it did end up working okay. $1.06 per mile this week, only 79 cents per mile this week, but I had a $500 or $450 APU payment. So, yeah, there's week 35, 36, and that is pretty much the last full weekly summary episode that I'm going to do at Landstar. Again, next week I'll post, probably next week, I'll post a summary video, like the ones I did at Night Transportation, both as a company driver and a lease driver. Just do a summary of everything here and just give my basically opinion on it and basically kind of do a review of Landstar. And then after that, leave Landstar, which I'm pretty much already done with them. I don't think I'll be taking another load. And then work on getting my own authority. This will take some time. And also, I just need take some personal time. Like, for instance, I need to go to a doctor and just get an adult physical. I haven't had one in like forever. That's a good example of something I need to do. Gonna go get my tanker endorsement. Gonna probably go get my TWIC card. I don't have that. Just stuff like that. So I was just gonna take a bunch of time off. I'm transitioning to the spot market slash getting my own authority. I got a lot of personal errands to do, and also the weather in Vegas right now is just just perfect. So I wanted to spend some time off anyway doing that. So not going to take any loads probably till February at this point. So that's what's going on there. Okay, yeah, but that will pretty much do it for this episode. Thank you for watching. I truly hope what I've been doing here has been helpful to you. This is, again, information I did not have when I was coming up, so hopefully the last 2 years have been very helpful. And now we will start moving over into getting my own authority and going that route. But that will pretty much do it for this episode. If you're interested in this spreadsheet or any of the other spreadsheets I've done in the past, you can find them in the About section down below. After you find them, you can open them, then just hit File, Download, and then just download them to a Microsoft Excel sheet. And after you download them to a Microsoft Excel sheet, you can use them however you please. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.